Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Ajnana Timirandhasya, Jnana Jana Shalakaya, Chakshurun Militam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tumeva Madhacha Pita Tumeva, Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha Tumeva, Tumeva Vidya Dravinam Tumeva, Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma, Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma, Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma. Om Amriteshwari Namah. We'll begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column, spinal column is right. Slowly close your eyes. Focus your awareness on your breathing, breathing normally, but fully aware of each and every inhalation and exhalation, which is passing through your body. Just be a witness to the whole process. And as you observe the process, you also feel relaxed. Now let's chant Om 3 times. And as we chant Om, imagine the sound rising from your navel area. And as the sound rises up along your body and your mind, imagine it cleansing the mind and the body. And as it comes out, visualize the vibrations of Om cleansing the atmosphere around you. Now kindly take a deep breath. Feel the reverberations of Om, both within and outside of you. Within meaning your body, your mind. Outside in the atmosphere. Now as you relax completely, once again, start observing your breath, breathing normally. Now as you breathe in, along with your in-breath, chant the mantra Ma silently. And when you exhale, chant Om. So Ma when you breathe in, and Om when you breathe out. Now after breathing in Ma, just hold your breath for a few seconds. Don't hold it too long. And observe the gap between the breaths, which will deepen your silence. So it's like this. Ma. Om. Ma. Om. Please continue at your own pace and rhythm. Each person's rhythm will be different, and just follow yours. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Om and Ma become more and more subtle. And just feel the vibrations. Ma is a representation of divine love and Om of divine light. Imagine your heart being filled with that love and that light. And as your heart becomes full, imagine your heart opening up like a beautiful bud that opens up into a beautiful flower. Feel the expansion and feel the beauty. Now visualize a ray of light going out from your heart to all the beings in this world, just like the rays of the sun. And imagine as the light falls on each and every being, they are also filled with love, with light, with bliss, and with peace, and also compassion. And while imagining so, we'll chant the Loka Samasta prayer 9 times while visualizing this. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu 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 Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyor Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhavlavagundhanapatim Tejomayim Nashtakim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidashri Mukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusikta Suktim Amritanandatmikam Ishwarim. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam Srude Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loga Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavandau Punah Punaha Ishwarau Gururakmedhi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha Om Amriteshwariyai Namaha. In the previous session, we were looking at the different varnas, the caste systems, as well as they were discussing about the duties of each one of those castes. And we were especially looking at the householders' duties at that time. And so he was talking about that whatever wealth that should be, that householder should beget, he should consider this as coming from the Supreme Lord, Achyuta, and enjoy the wealth with the attitude that it is not mine, but it is the Lord's, and I'm just being given this. And and he was also saying all the other animals and creatures like the deer, camels, donkeys, monkeys, rats, serpents, birds, flies, everything should be looked upon as your own children. Because he was asking this question, what is the difference between these creatures and your own children? Maybe they are much better than your own children sometimes. A householder should not make undue effort to secure the three worldly values, which is dharma, artha and kama. And they should be satisfied with whatever karma belongs to them, brings to them, because as we get all this artha, dharma and kama according to our karma, previous karmas. And all the objects of enjoyment one possesses should be divided, they said, amongst dogs and vagabonds and outcasts. So just give it to the poor people. And one should not have even the sense of possession, even of their own wedded wife, because that creates jealousy by other men. That does not mean you should not protect your wife. And if somebody attacks your wife, you should not just stand there and keep watching. So of course you have the duty, but that is not what is meant here. What is meant here is, if we become excessively possessive, they also feel stifled, and we would not allow them to go anywhere, go out of the house. I've seen many men doing that. And in the name of protection, in the name of having given that or making the women like a prisoner, and not realizing it's our own jealousy. And he's saying that also he's saying that for the sake of women, it is found that man does not hesitate to put an end to the life of his father, teacher, or even himself. So, it can be the other way also. So you remember the joke that Amma was saying about a woman whose fourth husband passed away, and then the funeral was being conducted. And what happened was there was a congregation, and one of the people came up to her and said, "Oh, we are really sorry that you've married 4 times, and in spite of having married 4 times, your husbands are not alive." So then he went on and says, "So how did your first husband die?" So she said, "He ate mushrooms." So how about the second one? He also ate mushrooms. And about the third one? He said he also ate mushrooms, a lot of them. And how about this one? He refused to eat the mushrooms. So it's like that. So that's why they say you do not even hesitate to kill your own husband or wife for the sake of, as we have seen and also been predicted in the Kali Yuga. They say the son will eat the father and the father will eat the son, meaning they will destroy each other. And so for the sake of money, and how many parents have been pushed away from their homes when the children take possession of their ancestral homes. They just recently also I heard one family just took over the house and drove the father and their mother, the parents, and just dropped them in the railway station and came back. Or that's it. And so there has been many occasions when this is happening, and now it seems that there is a NGO which helps these people who have been dropped off. So it has come to that kind of a situation. So he says, how worthless is this body which is reducible to dirt and ashes or into food of worms? So what happens when this body becomes, when you just put it inside, when you die, and this body is kind of put inside the earth, right? And so what happens is, how absurd is the idea of a wife for giving enjoyment to this worthless thing of a body. And by the side of this, how overpowering is the grandeur of the Atman, which can cover up by its brilliance even the all-pervading sky. So now, he talks about the yajnas. The other day, Amma was scolding one of the brahmacharinis. She was not scolding, she was just mentioning that when we say yajna, yajna means, in our concept, it is a fire ceremony or some kind of a ceremony where we do offering, right? So that is not what yajna means. I mean, that's not the only meaning. What happens is there are different kinds of yajnas. And so when we say yajna, it could be any one of these. So what happens is when we say that when we do yajna, that it could be a sacrifice. Any kind of sacrifice that we do is a yajna. And so what happens is when we do that with the right attitude, that also becomes a yajna. And so it says that, the Narada continues saying that a pious householder should do his fivefold yajna with substances easily collected and subsist on the remnant of the yajna. So he should give up the sense of possessiveness regarding all other things. A wise man of the type will thus be treading towards the goal of those who have taken the life of a renunciation. So he says Pancha Maha Yajna, that is the 5 yajnas. The Maha means great, so Pancha 5. The 5 great yajnas consist in worshipping with righteously got materials the Supreme Being manifest as the 5 objects of worship, which are Devas. Devas are the gods, Rishis, the sages, men, Pitris, that is the ancestors, and the brute creations. So if one has competency, skill, and necessary ingredients, one can perform the Agnihotra sacrifice according to the rules laid down for the sacrifice. So when we talk about the Pancha Maha Yajna, the 5 yajnas, so he say there is the first one is Rishi Yajna, or it is also known as Brahma Yajna. So what do you do? So it is to appease the Rishis. So what did the Rishis do? They compiled the Vedas, they wrote the Upanishads and all these things. So it should be studying the sacred scriptures every day and also sharing that knowledge with others. So when you do that, that becomes one of the 5 Mahayajnas. And in Deva Yajna, the second one, that's what happens is, in the Deva Yajna, what happens is, it is to the Devas. Devas means all the natural forces. And so how do you appease the natural forces? So by giving it to nature. And of course, when we also do the sacrifice, the fire sacrifice, we are offering ghee and all these pure substances, right? And they put it in the fire. And we see that when these are uncooked grains, right? And these are all the things that we put in the fire. And this is the sacrifice. And when we do that, what happens is the atmosphere gets purified. And you can just feel it when you are sitting next to the Homa Kunda, when these things are put in the fire. It creates such a beautiful atmosphere. Not only that, and it purifies the atmosphere around you. And then anything you do to preserve nature, to conserve nature, and doing all this, planting trees. So you can say that these are all Deva Yajna, cleaning the ocean, cleaning the earth. So you can consider all these things as Deva Yajna. And so the next one is Pitru Yajna. Pitru Yajna means what happens? He is offering different kinds of substances for the ancestors. So, we do the tarpanam, right? And we do in one sense, that is the Pitru Yajna. When we do the tarpanam. And when we do that, we offer all these kinds of mantras, and then we offer the food items. And it has gone to an extent where I've seen that some forms, the crude forms, were what happened was their father was binging on alcohol, or their grandfather was drinking. So they would keep a bottle of alcohol also near the picture and give it. So anyway, I don't think their grandfather drank that. And I don't know who drank that, who drinks that afterwards. So it's an offering. That's what I'm saying. So it's like a story of the cat that which Amma says about during the puja. And so what happens is you give these things to your ancestors. Mainly what is honoring your ancestors. And honoring your ancestors means also what? Living according to the values which they had exemplified in their own life. So what values did they live with? So you just imbibe them and also practice them in your own life. And so this is especially the good values, I would say. So this is offering to the Pitris, or the ancestors. And the next one is known as Bhuda Yajna. Bhuda means all the beings. So feeding animals, then birds, insects. So, also feeding the wandering outcasts. And so all these things are considered to be the Bhuda Yajna. So what, in the sense, and the last one is Manushya Yajna. Manushya Yajna is, Manushya means human beings, and Yajna to the other human beings. First of all, being a nice person and not harming other people with your words, actions, and thoughts. Number one. And second, feeding the guests and the poor, the hungry or the homeless, and comforting the distressed. And so you can see that, also giving, such as tithing and charity. So that's also, so any kind of service to alleviate the suffering of human beings is Manushya Yajna. So this is the 5 yajnas. So first one is Deva Yajna, Brahma Yajna or Rishi Yajna, Yajna to the Rishis. Second one is Deva Yajna, to the gods. Third one is Pitru Yajna, that is to the ancestors. The fourth one is Bhuda Yajna, to the other beings. And the last one is Manushya Yajna, which is to other human beings. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has said that having in ancient times emanated mankind together with sacrifice, the Lord of creation said, "By this shall you propagate. Be this to you the fulfiller of desires. With this nourish the shining ones, and may the shining ones nourish you. Thus nourishing one another, you shall reap the highest good. For nourished by sacrifice, the shining ones shall bestow on you the enjoyments you desire. A thief verily is who enjoys what is given by them without returning anything. The righteous who eats the remains of the sacrifice are freed from all sins. But the unpious who cook for their own sake, they verily eat sin." So this is, you must have heard all these commentaries from chapter 3. So what it is saying that, this yajna bhava, the attitude of yajna, which means to do all these 5 yajnas. Maybe we will not be able to do all 5 at one time, or in one day, but you can try at least 1 or 2 every day. And so what here Lord Krishna says is, this is why the whole nature exists. The whole creation exists because of the yajna bhava, that is the attitude of sacrifice. If you look at nature, nature is sacrificing, right? Completely. For itself, 24 hours, the sun shines. The sun does not say, now if I have to rise tomorrow, you have to pay me $1 billion. Nor the moon says, I cannot come tomorrow because I'm getting sick. So the birds fly, the bees gather honey, and pollinate the flowers. So you can think about everything in nature. How does it happen? Because of the sacrifice of these different animals, different elements of nature, and the different insects, and the different beings who are present in nature. And it's only as we can see, the human beings who are becoming more and more greedy, and that's why he's saying that he verily who just takes from this and eats only this is, they verily eat sin. Because why? They are not giving back anything. So you should give back whatever you take. So how do you give back? Again, that is the Pancha Mahayajnas. The 5 yajnas is the way how to do that. So, and so, as you can see, as Amma kept on saying this, right? Man has become more selfish. Selfish means he's become more greedy. So he's not returning what he takes from nature. And not only that, he's taking more than what is required by a person. So this is also the other attitude of yajna. You don't take more than what you need. So you just take only what is needed. Just a simple exercise for all of us. Amma has said this, right? Just think about this. Amma told us that we should take only 1 bath a day. So how many some of the people not even take 1 bath. They take 1 bath a month. That is a different story. But many people who, they generally take bath, especially in India when it is really hot. I used to take like 2 or 3 baths. And one day, as I was just coming out of the bathroom, suddenly Amma was standing there. And then Amma asked me this question: how many times do you take a shower? I said, at least 2. So she said, from tomorrow onwards, you should take only 1. So I try to follow it most of the days, but sometimes I do fail. But I'm trying to follow it. So why? Because we are wasting water. And whenever we take a bath also, we just turn on the shower and just stand there singing for hours together and doing things. And especially, like the other things, like when we are brushing our teeth, we just keep the tap open and the water is flowing unnecessarily. So we are wasting a lot of things. So wastage is also stopping that wastage, conserving the all the elements that nature gives us is also a yajna. So we have to understand that. So that is also like Bhuda yajna and Manushya yajna. So that is, we are giving it to the back to the elements and also to other human beings. So this should be practiced in every day. That's what he is saying. So not only, this is not only for householders. This applies to the brahmacharis and the sannyasins also. So he will come later and say that. But he says that if you have the competency, right competency and skill, and the necessary ingredients, that is means you have to have the right knowledge, the right mantras, and then you should know all the mudras. So it should be learned from a teacher. You cannot just take a pot and put some fire and take some sticks and put it in the pot and saying that I'm doing Agnihotra. That's not really Agnihotra. And so you have to follow the rules and injunctions laid down for the sacrifices. So he says the worshipful Lord, who is the recipient of yajnas, is never so satisfied with offerings made in fire as with the food offered to him through the mouth of holy men. So that is another big yajna. That's what he's saying. The biggest yajna. So if you see holy men, you should feed them. That's what and those holy men are nothing but the representatives of the Lord. So you have to feed them and you have to offer them the right respect. That is the other thing. And so the Supreme Being who indwells everything should be worshipped through all beings, from devas and holy men down to all men according to their status and need. So that's what he is saying. So according to their status and need, you should worship them. That does not mean that you should wash the feet of everybody. According to their status and their need, you have to feed them, or you have to give them clothes, or you offer them some things. Or you as Amma says, a smile, a kind word. These are also part of the yajna. The Shraddha and the auspicious rites. He says, if the person is wealthy enough, he should perform Shraddha to the dead parents and their relatives in the dark fortnight called Mahalaya in the month of Bhadra. So the Mahalaya, we celebrate that Mahalaya Amavasya when we offer the Tarpanam or the Shraddha. And he said he should perform their Shraddha also at the time of the summer and winter solstices and the vernal and autumnal equinoxes. So during the astronomical division of time called Vyatipada, on the day when a lunar day begins and ends without the sunrise or between two sunrises, and during the lunar or solar eclipses. So he gives a whole bunch of days when this can be performed, and so all the times, and he says all these days are auspicious times, conducive to good fortune, and therefore suited not only for Shraddhas, but also for good works which makes one's life fruitful. So we, in one sense, some of us, Amma's children, we don't perform any rituals or sacrifices, radhas, right? And you might ask this question, why are we not doing it? I mean, if we can, we should do it, definitely. But the other thing is also when we have a guru. The guru is already taken care of our parents, our ancestors. So we don't have to really perform for them. So that's only when we have a guru. If you don't have a guru, then you have to go through all these steps. And so he says, holy acts like ritual ablutions and repetition of mantra, sacrifice in fire, observance of vows, worship of devas and the holy men, making gifts in the name of ancestors, men, devas, all such holy and altruistic acts become infinitely fruitful when done at such times. O King, during the purificatory rite for the wife called Pumsavana, the birth rites for the son, sacraments for oneself, funeral rites, the rites of the anniversary of a death, at all such times holy works conducive to welfare should be done. So you have to do these ceremonies during such occasions also. And now I shall tell you what are the places that augment the results of good acts done at such places. The best of such places is where one gets a holy man who has been the object of the Lord's grace. So that is the best place. He says, if there is a guru, a holy person, and that is there, and if we go to that land, that place, that is the best place. Wherever the image of the Supreme Being in whom all the worlds reside is installed and worshipped, and where holy men who practice austerity, knowledge, benevolence, and other virtues reside, these places are also holy. Where the worship of Hari is carried on, and where rivers like Ganga, especially sung about in the Puranas, that is in the scripture, in the stories, or so what happens is flow, they are all holy places. The localities were sacred lakes like the Pushkara and the holy pilgrimage spots like the Kurukshetra, Gaya, Prayaga and Pulashrama are situated, and where great devotees had stayed in the past, they are all holy places. Naimisharanya, Falguna, Sri Ramasetu, Prabhasa, Kusasthali, Varanasi, Mathura, Lake Pampa, Bindusaras, Badri Ashrama, banks of Alakananta, Chitrakuda, Panchavati, etc., where Rama and Sita stayed, great mountains like Mahendra and Malaya, all these are very sacred places. So are where Sri Hari's images are permanently installed and worshipped. Spiritual aspirants should visit such places often, for spiritual practices and good acts done there are 1,000-fold effective. So they're talking about he's talking about the different holy places and giving some of the examples, like Mathura, Vrindavan, and the places where Lord Rama and Lord Sita was there, and the congruence of the three rivers like the Ganga, Yamuna, and Kaveri. Saraswati. That is Ganga, that is in Allahabad. So where they have the Kumbh Mela. And the Kumbh Mela, and where people come from all over India. As you know, that is the biggest festival. And people come and take bath in the dip in the Ganges and the rivers. So these are all, he's saying, holy places, and especially going to the holy places and doing, it's not just going there and eating, but doing your spiritual practices is very effective. So that is one thing that you have to That's you have to do. And this is pilgrimage. So nowadays, what do they do in the name of pilgrimage? You travel in a luxury bus or take a luxury train, and everything will be provided. Then you take or a plane, then you land, then go and stay in a 5-star hotel. From there, you just take a helicopter, or you take a ride, and then you go visit the pilgrimage place, and just chant a few mantras, and then come back. So that is not pilgrimage. So remember in olden times, people used to walk on foot to these places. I remember when we were staying in Santa Fe, people used to walk once a year. There was a pilgrimage, and people used to for the Holy Mary. And so they used to walk from Albuquerque to Santa Fe, and not even north of Santa Fe. So it must be about 80 to 100 miles. So people walk, sometimes carrying a cross or something like that. And they come by walking, and they offer their respects at that sacred place. And so it is, then only it is effective. And in doing, because you are chanting, you are remembering, and you are also suffering quite a lot because of all the bodily discomforts. Now everybody is just worried about only one thing, so they make the body so comfortable that, if they could be, in one sense, if they could just be transplaced to that spot, rather than go there, they would do that and be there and just come back. So that's the effect of pilgrimage is very important, because when we do the pilgrimage, then we realize the hardship of life, and then we chant more mantras, we do all these things, and also we also get a lot of compassion for other beings when we are there. And so that is the most important thing in life. And the other thing is, as he said in the beginning, if you have a holy person staying in a holy place, then you don't have to go anywhere. That is your pilgrimage. So for us, Amma's children, Amritapuri, going to Amritapuri is our pilgrimage. And staying there and doing our spiritual practices. So why is it so, that we can call it as pilgrimage? Because there is a nice story to illustrate this. Once the disciple of a guru told him that, I'm having this great desire to go for a pilgrimage. The guru was living in the south. So he wanted to go. He had heard about these sacred spots, Kedarnath, Badrinath, and then Ganga. So all these things he had heard. So he wanted to go there. And so he went and told the guru, saying that I would like to visit all these places. So Guru said, okay. What happened was he was sitting near a pond in front of his ashram. And so what he did was he just took a stick and said, wherever you go, whichever holy place, and if you find water there, dip this stick so that the stick also becomes holy, and bring it back to me. Make sure you bring it back to me. So the disciple who went on the pilgrimage followed the what the guru had told him, and wherever he went, he dipped the stick. And in the final place, there was the there was a big river, and when he dipped this stick, the stick just slipped out of his hand and disappeared. And he could not find it. So he could not come back with the stick. So when he came back to the ashram, and the Guru was still sitting near the pond, and the Guru asked, so how was your pilgrimage? And he said, oh, it was very nice, except in the last one I'm so sad now because I dipped the stick into the water. You had asked me to bring back the stick, and it just disappeared. So the Guru put his hands inside the pond and took this stick and showed it to him and said, is this the one that disappeared? So it was the same stick. So it is said that wherever the Guru's feet is, that is the most holiest place on earth. You don't have to go for another pilgrimage. Many people, that's what happens. Why? It also becomes like a habit for many people. And like a vasana. That going to places. And why? One of the things is they get different types of food when you go to different places. So to enjoy these different types of food. And especially the other thing is also when you don't stay in one place, there is a sense of peace, right? Because you are not bound by space. So when you are not bound by space, you have that freedom. So the moving gives you a sense of freedom, not bound to one place. So that's why they keep moving from one place to place. So when they move they feel they have more freedom. And so they enjoy that. So these are the things why, they after some time it becomes like a vasana and a negative tendency. And during this tendency, that's why they keep on going from one pilgrimage to another pilgrimage, even though might have a guru. So it says, O king, those who have thought deeply on the question of who constitutes the best recipient have come to the conclusion that the only one fit to receive worship is the Supreme Bhagavan, of whom this whole world is a gross manifestation. So who is the person who receives all these things? That is the Lord himself. So in your Rajasuya sacrifice, you say, talking to Yudhishthira. And when Yudhishthira conducted a Rajasuya sacrifice, there was a big sacrifice conducted by the kings, where Devas, Rishis, Siddhas and sages like Sanaka were present. It was Sri Krishna alone that was selected as the fit recipient to be adored as the great personage present at the sacrifice. So there were so many saints, so many rishis, so many people sitting. And who did they select as the recipient? It was Lord Krishna. So he said that is the reason why. And this all-inclusive cosmic shell, that is the Brahmanda, is like a tree of which all the worlds of living beings constitute the spreading branches. Achyuta, being the root of that tree, his worship results in satisfying all beings included in the nature, in the universe. And after creating men, animals, and all other creatures, he, the all-pervading one, resides in the bodies as the indwelling self, as the jiva. As he lives in the city of this body, he is called Purusha, the resident of the city. His manifestation in some bodies are greater and some others less. Therefore, man is the fit recipient, and among men, he in whom the Spirit is more manifest is a better recipient than others.
So he's saying that what happens is a person can exude a certain amount of divinity, right? Each one, because in each one, God resides in each one of us. Each one of us is a divine being. And the only difference is how much we exude that divinity. And so how much divinity is pervaded in each one of us. And so he's saying that definitely those who have more divinity in them is worth of worshipping. And he's saying that through all worship. And who are you worshipping? You're worshipping the indwelling self and the jiva, as the jiva. So that's why he's called Purusha. Purusha means the resident of the society. Said the city. What is the city? City is the body. So he's saying only the difference is the manifestation is sometimes different, and sometimes there is more spirit in others, and so that is why they are a better recipient than others. O king, but men become mutually disrespectful and antagonistic due to the perception of each other's defects, and therefore incapable of seeing the Lord within. Hence, in the Treta Yuga, great sages brought into being the system of worshipping him in holy images to which none can attribute evil. So what is the problem? We cannot see the divinity in each other. Right? So when we see a person, the first thing that comes in our mind is she or he. Or look at him. He's crooked. Or she's short. Or she's not beautiful. Or she's cunning. Or she's selfish. And look at her. She's black. Or she's, of a different caste. So all these things are coming into our minds, and we don't think that she is divine. So that's why he said in Treta Yuga, that is Treta Yuga means in the Yuga when Lord Sri Rama was there, the sages brought about the system of worshipping the divinity in holy images. So at least you will consider images as holy. And when you see these images, then at least you will see, Sri Rama's image, Sri Krishna's image. When you see Amma's image, it's not like seeing Beyonce's picture, right? If you put Amma's and Beyonce's picture together, you don't revere Beyonce. I mean, there are some people who do that. But I mean, in the real sense. So what happens is, if you look at Amma's picture, there is a certain amount of divinity that is just exuding from her being, and you don't have to even second guess that she's such a holy person. And so he says, so that's why these were in Treta Yuga, the great sages brought about this system. What does that mean? Before that, they did not worship any pictures or any images or anything. So there was a great saint in Kerala, and Narayana Guru. And when his followers urged him to establish a temple, the first idol or the first consecration that he did was a mirror. That's what he put in the sanctum sanctorum of the temple. I can imagine what happened. Nobody understood anything. Nobody came. So what he had to take the mirror and then put a Shivalinga or a Krishna statue, then people started coming. So this is the problem. And so she says, so some serve Hari by worshipping him with utmost faith, attention in holy images. But it is of no benefit to one who persecutes and oppresses one's fellow beings. So there is a beautiful, that song that Amma sings, Shakti Rupe, right? And in which she says, Kovillere pradikshanam jeda vadikka ninnukondu marannodi bichakkare chautunna bhavam vichitramalle. That is, after circumambulating around the temple, and then you come out and stand in the entrance to the temple. Then you see the beggars and then you kick them with your feet, saying that, move away. So isn't that so strange? Then what is the purpose of going to the temple? So that's what he's saying. If you persecute your fellow beings and oppress them, there is no point. O king, among men, a holy man is considered the best recipient, for he takes care of the Veda, the body of Hari, through his austerity, knowledge, and equanimity. O king, Krishna, the soul of the universe, reckons such holy men who purify the world by the touch of their feet as the deity for himself to worship. Imagine, therefore, their greatness. So, you can see that now, what is Amma doing? But the Bhagavad Gita, Yajna, right? And what is she trying to do? She's spreading the Vedas, the knowledge of the Vedas. And so he's saying that eventually, who is the greatest person? If you ask the Lord will say, devotee is the greatest person. Why? Because the devotee is serving the Lord. So the Lord says the devotee is a greater than me. And when you look at Amma, and when Amma accomplishes something, or she gets an award, what does she say? It's not because of me, it's because of all my beautiful children that I am getting this. So they always attribute it to the good of other people, the holy people. That's why he's saying that in the end, he says that it's the holy people who sanctifies these places. And the Lord is so pleased that the Lord worships them. Even the Lord worships them. Right? So there are many instances in the life of Lord Krishna, and there are so many instances where Christ washed the feet of his disciples. Why did he do that? Because they were going to spread his message. So that's why he did that. So he considers them holier than him. So these different aspects of, or you can say the people who are spreading the message are much greater than the Lord themselves. That's what he's saying. But in one sense, of course, when we look at it, we can see that whosoever does this is nothing but a messenger of the Lord. So it's the Lord himself who is working through them. But since the Lord does not want to take credit, like as Amma says, Amma blames everything on grace. And somebody comes and says, Amma, I got a job. Oh, that's because of grace. Then when a couple doesn't have children, and then Amma says, oh, I'll do a sankalpa, don't worry. And then next year or 2 years down the road, they come and say, here's a baby that you gave. So Amma says, oh, that's because of grace. So she just blames everything on grace, not on herself. She does not take the credit. So why I'm saying is, they don't have that ego that they did it. So when they see somebody who is such a worthy recipient. That's why they say that it's grace. And the grace is working through them. In fact, it is their own power. It is the same power which is manifested through different instruments. So we have to understand that we are also the embodiments of the divine, not the devil. So many mistake for the fact that they think they are the embodiments of devil, not the divine. So we have to understand that, and when we work and when we do good things, that's what happens. This power of divinity is manifested more in us rather than others, and then we become worthy instruments of the Lord. So may Amma give us the power to manifest such divinity. Om Amriteshwariye Namah. Satchidananda Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. Satchidananda Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Satchidananda Guru. Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Satchidananda Guru. Acharyendra Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. Dakshinamurti Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. Aguna Saguna Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. Aguna Saguna Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru. Amritanandamayi Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Amritanandamayi Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Guru Maharani 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 Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Amritanandamayi Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Padida Pavana Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Param Jyoti Param Brahma Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Param Jyoti Param Brahma Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Agama Dharana Guru Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Ajnana Timiranashi Jaya Guru Jaya Guru Guru Maharani 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 Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Guru 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 Maharani Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Gurudeva Satguru Maharani Amritanandamayi Jaya Guru Jaya Guru
पाशाङ्कुशधर पाप विनाशन पाहि दयामय गणनाथ
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 श्रीकर जय प्रणवाम्बुज निलया श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
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 पाशाङ्कुशधर पाप विनाशक
पाहि दयामय गणनाथ
श्रीकर जय
प्रणवाम्बुज निलया श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
पीताम्बरधर भूरि विभञ्जन चारुकले भर सुविधिवन्द्या
पीताम्बरधर भीति विभञ्जन चारुकलेबर विधिवन्द्या
पीताम्बरधर भीति विभञ्जन चारुकले भर विधिवन्द्या
पीताम्बरधर भीति विभञ्जन चारुकलेबर विधिवन्द्या
हेरम्बा सुख शान्ति विदायक नीरजलोचन शिव सदना
ीरम्बा सुख शान्ति विदायक नीरजलोचन शिव सदना
पाशाङ्कुशधर पाप विनाशन
पाहि दयामय गणनाथ श्रीकर जय प्रणवाम्बुज निलया श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
त्राहि परात्पर भूरि कृपाकर मादङ्गानत हृदयेश
त्राहि परात्पर भूरि कृपाकर मादङ्गानत हृदयेश
त्राहि परात्पर भूरि कृपाकर मादङ्गानद हृदयेश
त्राहि परात्पर भूरि कृपाकर मादङ्गानत हृदयेश
रक्ष गणेश्वर विघ्न विनाशक सद्गतिदायक गणनाद
रक्ष गणेश्वर विघ्न विनाशक सद्गतिदायक गणनाथ
पाशाङ्कुशधर
पाप विनाशन पाहि दयामय गणनाथ श्रीकर जय प्रणवाम्बुज निलया श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
पाशाङ्कुशधर पाप विनाशन पाहि दयामय गणनाद
पाशाङ्कुशधर पाप विनाशन पाहि दयामय गणनाथ
श्रीकर जय प्रणवाम्बुज निलया श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
श्रीकर जय प्रणवाम्बुज निलया श्री शिवतनया सुरसेव्या
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 जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। जिस काम में, जिस दाम में, जिस गाँव में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस गाँव में, जिस गाँव में, जिस गाँव में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस काम में, जिस दाम में, जिस गाँव में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस काम में, जिस दाम में, जिस गाँव में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। जिस संग में, जिस रंग में, जिस धंग में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस संग में, जिस रंग में, जिस ढंग में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस संग में, जिस रंग में, जिस धंग में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस संग में, जिस रंग में, जिस ढंग में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस योग में, जिस भोग में, जिस रोग में रहो,
जिस योग में, जिस भोग में, जिस रोग में रहो,
जिस योग में, जिस भोग में, जिस रोग में रहो,
जिस योग में, जिस भोग में, जिस रोग में रहो,
राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो।
राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधा रमण राधा रमण राधा रमण बोलो। राधारमण राधारमण बोलो। राधारमण 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 बोलो। राधारमण 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 बोलो। जिस हाल में, जिस देश में, जिस वेश में रहो, राधारमण 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 बोलो। परम शिवा मां पाहि। परम शिवा मां पाहि। सदा शिवा मां पाहि। शंभो शिवा मां पाहि। परम शिवा मां पाहि। परम शिवा मां पाहि। अक्षरलिंगा पाहि मां। अव्ययलिंगा पाहि मां। आकाशलिंगा पाहि मां। आकाशलिंगा पाहि मां। आत्मलिंगा पाहि मां। आत्मलिंगा पाहि मां। हर 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 मां पाहि। हर 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 मां पाहि। हर 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 मां पाहि। शिव 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 मां पाहि। परम शिवा मां पाहि। परम शिवा मां पाहि। शंकरा पाहि मां। शंकरा पाहि मां। परम शिवा पाहि मां। Paramashiva Pahima,
Paramashiva Pahima,
Amritalinga Pahima,
Amritalinga Pahima,
Advayalinga Pahima,
Abhiyalinga Pahima,
Chinmayalinga Pahima,
Chinmayalinga Pahima,
Acharalinga Pahima,
Aksharalinga Pahima,
Avyayalinga Pahima,
Abhiyalinga Pahima,
Agasalinga Pahima,
Aksharalinga Pahima,
Advayalinga Pahima,
Abhiyalinga Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima, Hara 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima, Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Hara 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 Pahima, Shiva 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 Pahima,
Shiva 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 Pahima,
Paramashiva 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 Pahima, Paramashiva 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 Pahima,
Paramashiva 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 Pahima.
അമൃതേശ്വരേ മംഗളം പ്രണമദാ മുക്തിപ്രദേ മംഗളം ഭുവനേശ്വരി മംഗളം സുകൃതിനാ ഏകാശ്രയേ മംഗളം അമൃതേശ്വരീ മംഗളം പ്രണമദാ മുക്തിപ്രദേ മംഗളം ഭുവനേശ്വരി മംഗളം സുകൃതിനാ ഏകാശ്രയേ മംഗളം ഹൃദയേശ്വരീ മംഗളം ഹൃദിലസത്തേജോർമയീ മംഗളം മൃദുഭാഷിണീ മംഗളം വിജയദാ പ്രേമാകൃതേ മംഗളം വിജയദാ പ്രേമാകൃതേ മംഗളം വിജയദാ പ്രേമാകൃതേ മംഗളം. जय जगज्जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी जन मन निज सुखदायिनी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मंगलकारिणी वन्दे जननी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी सकलागम निगमादिषु चरिते अमृतानन्दमयी निखिलाभयर जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम रसामृत वर्षिणी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी शमदमदायिनी मनलकारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सददं मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा पतितोद्धार निरंतर हृदये अमृतानन्दमयी परमहंस पद निलये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी हे श्रद्ध पर परिपालिनी जयदा अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानन्दमयी सहज समाधिषु धन्ये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी मादा अमृतानन्दमयी ॐ जय जय जगज्जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी। जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ।